Happy December! Welcome back to my channel, but if you're new here, this is Leanie Ale. I'm filming the pretty snowstorm in New York City from my apartment. The snow looks so much prettier up here than it does when it lands on the ground. After a day or two, the snow becomes a dark black color because it merges with other things of nature and trash. Much like many mysterious things in New York. Anyways, I am so glad to be indoors and not out there. Yesterday night, I was walking home in the snowstorm and the snow felt like grains of sand on my face. So, don't be deceived by how pretty it looks. The snow sure looks magical. Kind of feels like I'm in a winter snow globe. Anyways, but actually today I will be showing you my 2021 setup in my new bullet journal. This will be my first time filming a journal setup and I'm using my new camera. So please comment and let me know if you have any tips or suggestions. These are the supplies that I'll be using. All of them will be listed below. This is the Bullet Journal Edition 2, size A5. It's a collaboration with Leuchtturm 1917. It has a beautiful grid guide in the front, so I won't be needing to make one. And there are pages in the front assigned as the key page, the intentions page, the index page, and the future log. I'll be using some of them, but I'll also be sacrificing 2 index pages for my 2021 cover page and key. I'm going to take you quickly through my plan. So I've already lightly sketched it out. This will be the overview of the year. This will be my growth tracker and a bucket list of sorts. I'll explain more later. And this page I'm going to leave intentionally blank, and this is going to be my quotes page. I'll be using my favorite verse of the year. Alright, so let's get started. I'll be using a mixture of gouache and watercolor paint, 2 sizes of round brushes, a slightly bigger one, and then a thin one brush. On a scrap piece of paper, let's plan out and practice the elements that we'll be using on this cover page. I want some leaf branches, but maybe in a looser watercolor style. Also, I want to use my colored pencils to add some detail or even draw in the actual branches. Here I'm just planning out the possibilities of what I could do with this cover page. I think it's always great to have a scrap piece of paper because, you don't want to mess up on the actual journal. But even if you do, it's fine. I'm also going to practice my lettering. I want to use a serif font for the numbers. Okay, so let's get started. It's actually been a while since I've used an A5 journal. I actually only use pocket-sized journals, so it's kind of exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time to know that there's so much more space to fill. So has this pandemic made you a plant parent too? I've added so many more babies to my collection, and surprisingly, they're all still alive. It's too early to tell how the latest two are doing, but my once plant-killing touch has miraculously become a green one. Here I'm just arranging some watercolor leaf branches around. I lightly mapped out where I wanted some leaves to be. And then I started filling in some little baby leaves. Now I'm gonna play with some detail. So I'm gonna use my color pencil and I'm gonna go in and just draw in some details. So I'm just gonna go in with a dark green color pencils and just draw some fun detail. Now on my scrap paper, I'll be drawing a little house. It's a little German house, and I'm just gonna watercolor it in to test out how I want the little house to look like before I put it on my journal. Now going back to my journal, I'm actually going to draw in two of these, and just like I did with the scrap paper, I'm going to start painting in the roof first. Yeah, I told you guys that I had a theme for this year, and then I had second thoughts about my theme, and so now I don't really know if I have a theme. And then I asked you guys on Instagram if I should have a yearly theme or a monthly theme, and then everyone's like, oh, do whatever you want, Elaine. But we do monthly themes, or most of you guys did monthly themes, and so I think I'm just gonna go for monthly themes too. I don't know why, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should do a yearly theme. I think I made that up. I don't know if anyone actually has a yearly theme. Well, I was thinking of doing a very broad yearly theme, which I might still do. I'm still spending some time to think about it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna add some detail into my house. You don't have to draw houses, by the way. I mean, I think you can just fill in this entire cover page with greenery if you wanted. I think that looks really refreshing and nice. But I have an obsession with buildings and interiors recently, so this is why I'm drawing little buildings. And they're just so cute. Now I'm going to be filling up the cover page a little more because it was looking a little empty. I think one tip I'd give is when you mix a green color, try to always mix it with a bit of a mustard or a brown, because that'll make your green a little more foresty green and not so bright green. Okay, next up is my keys page. I know I have an allotted keys page at the front, but I really wanted to make my own because I want it to be a little bit decorative. So starting off, I'll be using my serif font in all caps. But if you're not comfortable with painting in the words, then I would just use a Micron pen and just draw it in. Now I'm gonna paint a leaf branch behind the word, and you can count the bullets or use a grid ruler to make your box. I actually have guides that you can't see, but it's on my journal. I'll show you later, and it's really helpful. It helps me eye the box a little easier. Now I'm going to just outline in the box with my brush. I like imperfect lines. I know some people might be like, this drives me crazy, it's not super straight, but that's the type of person I am. I'm like a squiggle, you know, not a straight line. And using my size 5 Micron pen, I'm just going to fill in the symbols and the key. I'm pretty excited about my keys this year because it's going to be color coded. So I'm pretty excited to see how that looks. Is your journal also kind of like a to-do list? Because I feel like my journal is mostly a to-do list, and sometimes I feel like writing, so if I'm inspired I might write something. Sometimes I journal about my faith, and then other times it's like just word vomit, you know, like a brain dump. Those are the best, but then you have to like blur it out in your photos because you don't want everyone to see what you're thinking, I guess. And now here's my sloppy signature. All right, on to the next page. I hope you're not bored yet. Yeah, this is gonna be the longest video I've ever uploaded, so this is gonna be the most satisfying spread to look at. I'm not sure about making. It's very meticulous. This is gonna be my yearly overview page. So I'm gonna start off with 2021 on top. And I'm gonna paint a long branch with leaves behind it. I'm also gonna use my serif font for the letters of each month. Feel free to use a pen instead of a paintbrush. I just kind of like that my paintbrush has a lighter charcoal color and it's not so dark. So I cut up these 2 pages a bit weird. I did 6 months consecutively on each page instead of doing both pages as one big spread. You can do whatever reads better to you. So now with my size 5 Micron again, I'll fill in the days. Nothing fancy, just trying not to mess up. Amazing, I only messed up once. If you mess up, you can use your eraser, and if you erase hard enough, it'll lift up some of the ink. You can kind of correct it, or you can use your best friend, whiteout. So I'm just gonna fill in some important dates under each month with the day next to it. Oh, and I wanted to show you guys how I split up my page. So I have these helpful guides that make splitting up the page so much faster. They're located on the bottom and the inner margins of the pages. It's definitely a perk to this journal. So now I'm just gonna add a finishing touch, some details on the leaves. Okay, next up is my growth tracker. So it's been fun growing my Instagram and YouTube this year, but I've never kept stats before, so this will be my attempt to do that. I'm gonna practice my cursive with my brush. I'm not good at calligraphy. I own a fountain pen, but I've actually never made time to practice, so I just get by with my elementary school level cursive. Also, I'm going to paint some leaves on the corners of these pages. And I totally forgot to move the camera down to film the bottom part. So basically we're just painting leaves in a rounded way on each corner. I'm gonna paint some little leaves on my bucket list page. Actually, I have a better name for it. I'm gonna call it my highlights page because it's not a bucket list. I want to fill in special highlights of the year using 6 categories after the events have happened. So instead of a bucket list, it's probably more of a highlights page. All right, so my growth tracker, I'm just going to put in my categories: Instagram follows, YouTube subs, and store sales. I'm going to use this page to record down the number at the end of each month. So I'm gonna paint little circles with one bullet space in between each circle, and I'm going to fill in the 12 months. Okay, going back to my highlights page, I'm going to split this up into 6 sections: lineal, personal, spiritual, play, family, and give. So it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Basically, I just want to write down my highlights for each of these categories. So I really want to visit my family more this year. I don't know, I'm just hoping that things will get better, so we're not so restricted. I'm also hoping to go overseas. And maybe this won't happen until 2022, but you know, a girl can dream. And also, giving has been something that's been on my heart lately. I like to give back somehow. I found some cool nonprofits I could volunteer at. I could pray for the community and even donate. I just feel like this page is really going to motivate me, and I'm excited to fill it out. All right, we're getting to the end. This is the last page. So the left page I'm leaving intentionally blank because I might want to fill it in later, but the right page is going to be an encouraging quote or verse page. So for me, I already have a verse picked out. I'm going to practice some watercolor florals and leaves on the side on my scrap paper. So using my bigger brush, I'm just gonna kind of loosely do some wide strokes for the petals. I'm bringing them into the center and then using my thinner brush to drop in darker colors in the center, because when watercolor is still wet, the paint that you drop in can spread. So these are the florals that I'm going to use and the colors that I'm going to use for this page. And now I'm just starting off with putting some leaves everywhere. It's kind of funny because when you paint these flowers, you don't really know if they'll even turn out like a flower. Sometimes they look like blobs, but you just have to stay confident and just keep practicing and going at it. As long as there's at least 4 to 5 petals meeting in the center, and you can drop some dark colors in the center of it, usually you can pull it off. It'll look like a flower. I promise. So the verse I'm quoting to start my year off is Ecclesiastes 3:11. The verse says, "He has made everything beautiful in its own time. Also, he has put eternity in their heart." I like this verse because this year has been so rough, right? There's so many negative terms for it, I don't know which one to use. But I think one thing this year has shown us is that the many things we once depended on and took for granted were all put to the test. Our health, our jobs, our finances, our relationships with friends and family, the government, things that we may have not thought much about, were shaken, and they proved to be temporary, which made me seek for something eternal. And I just like how this verse points to the eternal one, because nothing on this earth lasts forever, but only God does. And so I guess one sobering thing about this year is to see that while everything may not last forever, we have God who is eternal, and he's someone who can satisfy our heart. So anyways, before this year ends, I have a challenge for you. I'd like you to reflect on 20 good things about this year. I did this challenge myself, and it was really hard, actually. I came out with 9, and then I was about to cry because I just didn't think there were more good things. But actually there are. And I feel like if you reflect on this year, you can end it positively, which would be, I think, a good thing. Yay, we're done. I'm gonna do a quick flip through. It seems this journal's pages are holding up very nicely. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I hope that if you do set up your journal with me, please tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see. Thank you for watching the longest video I've ever made and uploaded on YouTube, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.